Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those new here, hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Lay. I believe in sustainable weight loss, and these are the 10 things that I did when I was younger that kept me fat. Yes, I said it. Kept me fat, unhealthy, increased my risk of heart disease. And a lot of you might say, Jenny, you were never fat. You were always skinny. You do not know what you're talking about. To that I say, your body shape does not determine your health. I was skinny, but I had a higher body fat percentage. I have a family history of cardiovascular disease. I have a family history of high cholesterol, of diabetes. So just because I was in a smaller body with my higher body fat percentage, it put me at a higher risk of developing all these things like insulin resistance, heart attacks, strokes. Metabolically, I was not healthy. So these are the 10 things that I did that kept me fat and unhealthy. Number one, I chose restrictive elimination diets for weight loss. I thought that that's the only way that you can go, because the only time that I lost weight was when I was sick and I couldn't eat anything and I had abnormal bowel movements. So it was either eliminate all carbs or keto or something along those lines. These diets are way too restrictive, and what we found that even with a calorie deficit, not necessarily cutting out all carbs, but if you consistently lose weight, then you overall improve your metabolic markers, your cholesterol decreases, and you are able to keep the weight off, keep the fat off. Speaking of diets, I used to be wholeheartedly for intermittent fasting, and I still am. If intermittent fasting works for you, then that is fine. Do you? But, caveat, I have really poor hunger cues, which means that I do not know when I'm full and when I am hungry. I know when I'm starving. My body says, you're starving, eat a shit ton of food. You are way too full up here, you're about to throw up. So my body senses the extremes. It doesn't slowly get there. It's either I'm all or nothing. And so with intermittent fasting, all that diet taught me was that I need to be hungry for as long as possible, because in that hungry fasting window is when I am burning fat as fuel. This does not mean just because you're burning fat as fuel, you are losing fat, because fat loss is a calorie deficit. Utilizing fat as fuel is just a modality of which your body uses, oxidizes free fatty acids, blah, blah, blah. That's another video. Because I was so hungry, all I knew was stuff your face during this feasting window, because that's the only time you can eat. After this window, you are going to be hungry again, and so you better eat all that you can. And that's how I was looking at intermittent fasting. It did initially put me into a calorie deficit for the first 2 years, and I did it for 7 years. I gave it a good try. But I found that macros in itself, learning my hunger and satiety cues, helped me a lot more in managing my hunger, controlling my appetite, and overall listening to my body more to be consistently in a calorie deficit. Number 3, speaking of diets, just because you're eating healthy does not equate fat loss. I mean, yes, if you were predominantly eating majority ultra processed foods before and you started cooking a lot of your food at home, potentially those calories may be less, but sometimes they are not. Initially, I was just like, okay, I'm going to eat healthier, more veggies, more fiber, but I was still not losing weight. And the reason why was because I still have this very, very large appetite. So I overate on these quote unquote healthy whole foods. Lots of nuts, lots of seeds, lots of oils, and those in itself still put me in a calorie surplus. Did not teach me a good relationship with food, just taught me eat as much as you can of these whole foods. Leading me into number 4 was that I was not eating enough protein. My choice of macros is carbs. carbs and fats. Who does not love that? And after the continuous studying and reading of new research, I've learned that you need protein to maintain your muscle mass, and you also need protein for like health, bone strength, all those things in general. When we are losing weight, if you just restrict your calories, meaning you just eat less and move more, your body will break down fat, but it will also break down muscle. So if you're not doing anything to kind of combat that, as in you're not eating enough protein and you're not exercising, your muscles are very metabolically active and taxing to maintain. So your body will break down protein. Eating more protein has helped me keep me full, be in a calorie deficit, and also get leaner, keeping my muscle mass while reducing how much body fat I had. What number are we on? 5? Number 5, maybe? Eat more fiber. I was not eating enough fiber. I was doing these lemonade, cayenne pepper cleanses for my colon because I was not having regular bowel movements and, something was off. That was not the issue. The issue was I was not eating enough fiber. The recommendation is 25 grams of fiber for women and 30 for men. And I was nowhere near that. They found in studies that smaller body people had different microorganisms in their stool, and they absorbed less of the calories that they ate as compared to larger body people. But the variety and differences in everybody's microbiome within their intestines are so different that we can't make recommendations for the general public, like what is going to be good for you. We know that overall, increasing the amount of fiber, which is fruits, vegetables, dark leafy greens, those things do help decrease your cholesterol because it binds to the cholesterol so your body doesn't reabsorb it. It also helps with digestion, constipation, and you're feeding all the good gut bacteria with the fiber. So when people think that, oh, I need to take probiotics, all this stuff to get that good microbiome in there, if you're not eating fiber, then you're just ingesting all this bacteria for it to go into your intestines and die because you're not feeding it anything. It's like getting a fish and not feeding the fish and then wondering why the fish is dead. Same thing, same concept. So when I was initially tracking, all I tracked were calories, protein, and fiber. And when I was able to be consistent with that, I was able to really control my hunger and consistently stick to a calorie deficit. Number 6, alcohol. I just drank way too much alcohol when I was younger, and I don't know how I did it, but literally every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was always drinking. So I'm old. I grew out of that phase. If you are gonna drink, remember to count it towards your macros. Protein is 4 calories, carbs 4 calories, fat 9 calories, alcohol 7 calories. Next, I only exercised when I knew I had an event to go to. For example, I knew I was gonna take my MCAT, and then after that I was gonna go to Vegas. And so I knew that right a month before we were starting Insanity. Only a month before. After Vegas, it was like YOLO, go back to old habits. And then until the next event, I was not consistent with anything. And so I was delusional to think that my body would change in just a month time. Pick something you enjoy, stick to it. I did a lot of cardio. Not saying cardio is bad, because the American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes of moderate intensity cardiovascular exercise in a week. So that's 30 minutes over the span of 5 days. My issue was that I was using HIIT cardio as a way to burn calories, to burn body fat, when that was not necessarily the case. I did not focus enough on resistance training to build lean muscle mass, to increase metabolism, to just help me increase that metabolically taxing tissue that sets me up for success later in life. So I probably weight trained 3 times a year, when that should be the majority of the focus. Number 9, I was exercising, but I was sedentary. What does that mean? Is that I thought that I can eat more because I was exercising, but because I was exercising and I was doing nothing else in my life, I was actually pretty sedentary. And so until I started tracking my step count, that is when I actually started losing weight. Because if you look at the overall total daily energy expenditure, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is living your everyday life, walking to your car, parking further away, using the elevator, cleaning your house, just going on walks and movement and fidgeting and stuff like that, those things use more energy than saying doing more HIIT or high intensity exercise. I guess some people would consider getting in steps a form of exercise too, but for me, I'm just like, oh, I'm just walking my dog leisurely. I'm just trying to get up off the couch and move around a lot more instead of just sitting there scrolling on TikTok the whole time or scrolling on YouTube or whatever it may be. So I'm trying to just break up my days and get up a lot more. Lastly is sleep. Literally someone from high school, I remember him telling me that, oh, why do people even diet? You could just stay up all night and you'll lose so much weight. I was like, no, bitch. You lost weight because you don't eat. I did not prioritize sleep at all. Like, obviously, I was young. I was living on my own for the first time. I actually was able to go out with friends without my mom, like, blowing on my phone. I had no responsibilities. Your girl was out, had no sleep routine, had no sleep hygiene. I don't know how many hours I slept, but yeah, it was very disrupted. What we know now from the science is that the less you sleep, the more dysregulation your hunger and satiety hormones are, which means that you would be more hungry and less full. So you would choose more calorie-dense foods while you are awake. And this is on a subconscious level, not something that you are able to control. So the people that slept 8 or more hours tend to find it a lot easier to lose weight, control their hunger hormones, and things like that. On top of that, sleep is so important for like muscle recovery, rejuvenation, all those things. Your cells recover, you make memories while you are sleeping. Well, not make memories, but you move short-term memory to long-term memory while sleeping. And so sleep is a very important aspect of overall health. And so I just did not prioritize it at all when I was younger. But the things that we learned, that and sunblock. So those are the 10 things that kept me skinny fat and metabolically unhealthy. I want to hear from you. What are some of the things that you changed in your life that you felt made the biggest difference in your health? So yeah, I can't wait to catch up with you guys. And let me know if you have any other questions. Leave in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you again next time. Peace. Okay, now it's recording. Shit. Oh my God.